Okay, talk about out of date. So, Antman and the Wasp has been out for a very long time, and I've only seen it like last week, and considering now it's in September, September the 3rd, is it today? I really should check the date. Nonetheless, I've seen Antman and the Wasp, and obviously I did say I'm going to be reviewing all like the superhero sort of sci-fi movies, like the big ones that everyone knows about, you know, those sort of normie films are. And I kind of forgot about Antman and the Wasp, or at least I haven't had the time to do it, and now I have the perfect opportunity. I'm hoping that still records the whole thing, because I'll be pissed off if it doesn't. So Antman and the Wasp. Obviously it's been out for some time, and not when I mean by some time, I mean by almost half the summer holiday, so I've had plenty of time to see it, and I never did, so now I finally saw it, and I think it's great. I think it's decent, you know. I don't know if there's anything negative I can really say. Obviously the idea is, because of Infinity War being the big emotional, the big blockbuster, the big, you know, heavy-hitting movie, this film is released sometime afterwards to be the more light-hearted, you know, don't you worry, everything's going to be fine, unless you see the mid-credit scene. And, you know, and I don't think that works quite effectively. I think the humour does, you know, work very well in terms of the Antman and the Wasp. I love how they interact with each other. I love the character of Ghost. Ghost is not necessarily a villain, to say the very least. Obviously she's known to have killed people, but she was made to kill those people. She was made to be this hitman, more or less because of her powers, or, well, it's pretty much a disease, more or less. And, what was I going to say? Ghost is just such a great character. I really loved seeing her on screen. I love the look of her costume, you know, that looks awesome. You know, and obviously she isn't necessarily the evil, you know, she's going to kill everyone sort of villain. She isn't like Killmonger, which is this genocidal maniac who, for whatever reason, people like. She isn't as good as, say, Vulture or Thanos, you know, who is still the greatest son of a bitch in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, Thanos is just awesome. No one tops him. Especially when it comes to the Marvel villains, he is number one. But Ghost certainly is a decent villain. Although, like I said, she isn't much of a villain if you really get down to it. Her backstory is that her parents, who, surprisingly enough, her father, if you don't recognise the name, her father is actually Egghead from the comics, who is an actual character in the Marvel comics. But I digress. He's helping build the quantum technology. However, he gets fired by Hank Pym. As he tries to build it, it goes aware, and her parents get killed. She is hit by the blast, but she survives, and unfortunately she like starts phasing in and out. She's like constantly phasing, and they have to build a suit to protect her. Funnily enough, the person who helps her is Black Goliath. Yes, they've actually canonized Black Goliath. Obviously I don't think they called him Black Goliath like they used to call him, because obviously if you were to call him that nowadays you'd be in a lot of shit. I mean, just look at James Gunn. He made one rape joke and it did not go very well. But nonetheless, Black Goliath, I love the fact that they've actually canonized him. Obviously you don't see him grow to any size, but you do get the hint that he did do some crime fighting, and I love that. You know, he did fight alongside Hank Pym, who was the original Antman, and the Wasp. The Wasp, by the way, she's played by Michelle Pfeiffer, which has honestly surprised me. So she's not only played a cat, she's also played a wasp. And honestly, I will say this, the makeup, I've seen the makeup, it's probably digital. It does look quite good when you see them young. I really do like that. You know, and I'm not the one that says CGI is always really good, but I mean, the CGI in Antman is decent. Obviously there are some things that look really incredibly fake. I mean, they're not as bad as, you know, the children of Thanos in Infinity War. I'd say that CGI was fucking awful, especially when you compare it to Thanos, who looked really good, and then you had the children of Thanos, which looked like video game characters. it's even stranger when you have the, these monster things that are part of Thanos' army. They looked alright, and then you had. I'm digressing once again. Once again, Antman. The CGI in Antman is decent enough. Obviously, there are some things like when he shrinks or grows big again, it's a little bit iffy, but nonetheless, when he's in the water, that's another thing. But nonetheless, it's just decent enough. So yeah, the whole gist of the film is, if you know Infinity War, you'll know that Scott and Hawkeye are under house arrest. Obviously, we don't know about what the hell's happening with Hawkeye, but we know that Scott is under house arrest. So you got to realise this is sort of happening side by side with Infinity War, which was happening over a span of like maybe a week or so, and this is happening over a span of like a few days. But nonetheless, over this course, he wants to be with his little girl again, and he has this little bracelet which he obviously can't go outside the home whatsoever. He's under house arrest. So obviously Hank Pym kidnaps him and replaces him with a giant ant, which is quite funny. Well, I say quite funny in the sense that there are some humorous scenes. I mean, you've seen it in the trailer of the ant like playing the drums. Well, it's meant to mimic Scott Lang's moves or daily routine. So he wants to steal this bit of technology so that he can create a quantum realm to save his wife. And the reason being is because Scott had gone to the quantum realm himself in the first film, and he also gets a vision of being the mother, the original Wasp, and obviously he phones them up and they get really interested in how, when they did a test of the quantum realm which failed, he 5 minutes later would say that, oh, I just had a vision of your wife, and they get interested. They want him to sort of be their puppet, So every time they test it out, the wife would appear inside of his head, take control of his body, and basically do all these wonderful little things, telling him how to get to her. And meanwhile, you have Ghost. Ghost wants this as well, so she can essentially drain the energy from Hank Pym's wife, the original Wasp, so that she can become normal again. She doesn't like this phasing attitude. It hurts, and she is dying very, very slowly. And of course, Black Goliath is secretly helping her, but he won't go as far as to kill people. He won't go as far as to actually harm anyone. He just wants to help this girl. So I do like the fact that he isn't necessarily a bad guy. He's still a good guy, but he's working for the questionable person. So, one thing which I don't like about Antman and the Wasp, the Wasp is quite bad. I will say this. I keep forgetting about her. So bad. She's great. She's the more like hard-headed of the two. She's obviously going to be more feisty and more aggressive in comparison to Scott, who's a bit more timid and humorous. But the one thing which I don't like about the film is its main villain. So, I was saying about how Ghost is a great character. I was just checking if it was working. And I was saying how, she has a good character development. I really do like that. She has a character. Obviously not as good as, say, Thanos or Vulture from previous films, but still a decent villain. But, like I said, she isn't really a villain. She's sort of an on-the-edge anti-hero, probably. But even then, she doesn't really do anything heroic in the film. It's hard to decipher about Ghost, other than she's awesome. Sorry, I'm just checking. But the one thing which I can't stand is the main villain. The main villain is a guy in a suit with a thick American accent. Main villain of the previous film was a guy in a suit, but at least he wore a giant, yellow jacket. That was his name. He wore a big old vest, and he had laser cannons like a revenant. But this guy's just a guy in a suit who just wants to have money. That's literally the whole fucking purpose of it. He wants to, team up with Hank Pym or use his technology so he can get money. That generic villain type, which is starting to really annoy me in films these days, because it seems to be the only bloody villain they can think of. A villain which is a guy in a suit who just wants to get money. I mean, look at Jurassic World. I fucking hate Jurassic World, but look at both those Jurassic World films. It's the people in the suits who want to make money. Why can't the villain be someone cool? Why can't it be like, you know, one of the things that people appreciate about cooler villains, like, you know, Thanos, for example, or even Vulture. Vulture is just doing it because, you know, he's got a family. He's also, you know, he doesn't believe this technology should be in the hands of, you know, these rich billionaires. Instead, he's going to take it back, and he's sort of like this, almost like Robin Hood, but he just wants to use the weapon so he can do things himself and just cause mayhem and sell it off into the black market. Yeah, admittedly, that's sort of like the big guy in the business suit, but at least he had personality. At least he was interesting. At least he was building upon these things, and he was actually using them, not for good, but using them. And then you have Thanos, whose whole methodology is the universe is just going to fall apart. Societies on planets, on loads of planets, for example, are just going to crumble eventually. They're going to overpopulate. There's going to be all these wars. There's going to be all this famine. There's always going to be these problems, and the only way to do it is through genocide. And a genocide which is at random. No one, not rich, not the poor, not the young, not the old, just at random, getting rid of all those, about 50% of the population. And obviously that's that's a basic way of describing it, but at least that's more interesting. A guy in a business suit who just wants money by selling off the products. And that is my biggest problem with the film. The main villain just isn't interesting. You have Ghost, which is, you know, this brilliant character. Yes, I'm just checking. This brilliant character. Then you have this guy who's just, you know, the villain just could have been Ghost on her own. They didn't need to have this guy in a business suit, but instead they have him in because he has a vital part, and because they steal it off of him regardless. But yeah, I kind of wished that never happened. I do like that we get a little bit more interaction from Scott Lang's daughter. I like how she has a bit more of a character in this film. She wasn't just there in one scene and then there at the end again. You know, I do like how she actually does appear, and she does motivate him, and I do like that. I like that they give a bit more time to that character. You know, but the one thing which I really love about this film isn't just the Ghost, isn't just Black Goliath, even though he isn't Black Goliath at all in this film, but he is. Isn't just, you know, the humour between Hank Pym and Scott, how much they absolutely hate each other, and I love it. Isn't just, you know, Wasp being a badass. It isn't any of that stuff. It isn't the humour. It isn't even like the Hot Wheels cars that grow big all of a sudden. That is awesome, by the way. Those sequences are fantastic. You know, it isn't the fast-speaking Hispanic guy. Oh no. The best part, for me personally, is the mid-credit scene. I love this mid-credit scene, and maybe it's because of the context, and, you know, if you know me by now, I spoil everything. I kind of spoil the whole plot, but nonetheless, this mid-credit scene is fucking dark. It's just dark, and yet so effective. So, the whole family is back together by the end. They save not Scott Lang, Hank Pym's wife, the original Wasp, and so the whole family is back together again. So they decide they're going to try and help Ghost. They're going to give, because Hank Pym's wife has sort of this weird ability where she can heal people with like mystical dust. Hence why she somehow survived all those years in the quantum realm. Yeah, it's still recording. Hence why she survived all these years in the quantum realm. And so they build like this mini version where they're gonna just send Scott through. He's gonna collect some of the dust and come back out, and they're gonna feed it to well, not necessarily feed it to, but they're gonna give it to Ghost so she can eventually heal, because Ghost and Black Life are now essentially a part of the team, but they're also in hiding. So, well, they're all in hiding technically, except for Scott, who's technically, as of this point, free to do whatever the hell he wants. So I guess that's good. So they send Scott through to this little quantum realm. He shrinks, and then collects the dust. They're outside, you know, all normal size. They're doing calculations and all that, and you know, she then begins the sequence. She says, "We're going to bring you back in 10, 9, 8, 7." Because you only see Scott Lang's point of view. He's, you know, collecting dust. He's waiting around, you know, and she's doing the countdown. 7, 6, 5, and of course, we already know technically that this is happening while Infinity War is happening. And Scott Lang like starts freaking out and says, "Okay, guys, this isn't funny. Let me out, guys." And he can't get any communication. And it happens for quite a bit, and he's starting to get freaked out. And you know, if you've seen Infinity War, you know what the hell's just happened. And it then shows you the whole family has just been disintegrated, and you see the dust falling, and the music builds up. It's still recording. Yeah. The music builds up, and then it just stops, and it goes to black immediately, and then it does the credits. And I love that mid-credit scene. That mid-credit scene is dark, but it's effective as hell, and it really does a good job at leading up to Infinity War Part 2. Not Part 1, Part 2. Or Avengers 4, whatever it's going to be called. Avengers Endgame, or it's a rumoured title, so I don't really think that's real. I just love that mid-credit scene so much. Obviously, you know, one of my favourite scenes in Infinity War was the end scene when Thanos does the click and, or the snap I should say, and disintegrates 50% of the population, and you just see people disintegrating everywhere, you know, on Wakanda, in the city where Nick Fury was, and, you know, superheroes themselves are disappearing except for Iron Man, you know, and except for Iron Man and Captain America, and, you know, the ones that are part of the original crew, funnily enough. But I like how they keep Ant-Man alive, and I like how he's stuck here, because it now leads you to think, like, okay, someone's got to save him. Someone's got to save him at some point in Infinity War Part 2, and they're going to have to somehow make him big again, and somehow get him to... or hell, he did it in Ant-Man 1, he grew himself back again, so it's possible he might do that. But it's like, it adds another layer to Infinity War Part 2, which is just, I cannot wait for that film. Infinity War is pretty much the best film I've seen this year. It was amazing, and it certainly is the greatest Marvel film they've ever done. The ending is so perfect. Even the end credit scene is so good. It's... yeah. And this mid-credit scene for Ant-Man 2 is great. You know, and that's a bit based I can say about Ant-Man 2. It's great. Obviously it's not like a perfect 10 out of 10 or even 9 out of 10. It's maybe a 7, 8 out of 10, obviously. You know, I really dislike the main villain, but it's got great humour, it's got great characters, and it's even got some brilliant action scenes. Obviously CGI can be a little bit iffy at times, but nonetheless, it's great. And I love all the references, which I was able to grab. It's a bit like whenever I watch a Star Wars film, I can always understand that reference. Like in Solo, when they mention Aurora Singh, I like knew that's Aurora Singh. But nonetheless, it's a great film, and I really recommend you watch it, even though it's probably not in cinemas anymore because you know it's late to see it. So get it on DVD.